paella with a bit of extra salmon added, just for, you know, extra niceness. It's a bit delicious. When I've eaten this, I'm going to do a video. So, yeah, I'll tell you about it in a bit. About a new film that I watched. It's good. But anyway, I need to finish this first because I'm hungry. Yeah. Welcome to another video. We're going to do a My Take on a Movie video. I'm doing another My Take on a Movie video. I'm doing another My Take on a Movie video. I had a Rakuten voucher to rent a movie online. I'd shopped at TK Maxx 5 times and got the keys. So one of the prizes, and I have to say TK Maxx used to offer pretty decent prizes, so you could go into a prize draw for like a week in the Bahamas or something, and they've kind of stripped it now back to sort of being in the draw for a doggy grooming kit or something like that. Not so lucrative, not so attractive choices, but anyway, they did have, you could rent a movie for free, so I went with that, got the voucher. So I decided I'd rent out here we go, Heretic. I don't know how you pronounce it. I should know. Is it Heretic? Heretic. One of them. Anyway, that's the name of the film. Horror film. 2024 or 25. Not sure. Possibly 24. Starring Hugh Grant. And a very unusual and different departure for him. The general premise is it's quite simple, really. There's two young Mormon missionaries, and they are sort of going around trying to spread the message, as it were, to various people in the community. And they happen upon, or they visit, a house where Hugh Grant, or Mr. Reed, I think he's called, lives. And he's this enigmatic and charismatic person. And it's kind of the journey that they go on once they visit his house. It's an interesting film. It's very thought-provoking. It throws up lots of ideas about religion and control and all sorts of stuff, really. We'll go into that in the video, but I think the main talking point is probably Hugh Grant and his performance, because it literally is... I've never seen him in a film like this before. I've never seen him do this kind of role. It's a real departure. And I think you go into this film, if you've not seen all the spoilers, and by the way, this video has got spoilers in it. I'll say that now. It's got spoilers. If you don't want things spoiling, just stop. But come back, obviously. Do watch the video afterwards. I don't want to drive people away from the channel. But yeah, there's going to be spoilers. He's really good. And you kind of go into this movie sort of with a knowledge of his previous roles, kind of floppy-haired guy in sort of rom-coms, generally in the 90s. My favourite Hugh Grant films are actually not the normal ones, so it's not like, I don't know, Four Weddings and a Funeral or Love Actually, whatever. I actually thought he was really good, and I liked him perhaps best in About a Boy, and he was really exploring his kind of comedy side in there. He came across really well in that. I liked it. Good film. And obviously, you know, he was pretty entertaining in the Bridget Jones films. So anyway, this is different. It's him playing a baddie, essentially, a creepy baddie. This film, I would probably describe it as a psychological horror stroke thriller. That might be the best pigeonhole for it, I think. There's lots of shots of sort of close-ups of people's faces, so there's a lot of focus on people's expressions and their sort of emotions. So there's not a load of kind of action shots. It's quite intense. There's a lot of conversation, a lot of dialogue in this film. There's a lot of questioning of belief and faith and that sort of thing. So yeah, Mr. Reed, played by Hugh Grant, engages in this film in a sort of game of cat and mouse. He's playing a game with these people who've basically come round to his house. It starts off with them saying they'll only come in if there's a woman present, and he kind of jokingly says, oh yeah, I've got my wife's cooking or baking a pie or something, and he's just so believable, so charming, so enigmatic that they just go along with it. They assume he's fine, he's kosher, he's legit, but obviously you're thinking, I'm not sure about that. And the first kind of warning sign is when he goes off to sort of find his wife, and he leaves the two missionaries in the living room. They notice that the candle that's been on is actually, when they turn it around, it's It's got a blueberry pie flavoured candle. So it's a lie when he tells them that his wife's in the back room baking a blueberry pie. It's just a candle. They try to escape. I don't want to give the whole film away, by the way, so I won't go into the storyline much. They try to escape but realise they're locked in, and that's when the game begins in earnest. So Mr. Reed is a very dark and unsettling character, and he gets a real kick out of playing this game where he's basically controlling these two young women and forcing them deeper into the house, which resembles something of a labyrinth. You could probably describe him as a creepy theologist. He's obviously well read, he knows a lot, he likes to talk. And I think the Mormons are slightly surprised by, in fact, how much he already knows, and that kind of silences them, really. Hugh Grant's performance has been described as genuinely chilling in this. I think because he's so nice. He's so nice normally that you don't expect him to be able to be this dark and creepy, but he pulls it off. So Mr. Reed is central to the film, really. He's the main character. He's the one that drives the kind of story forward. He certainly controls the conversation, tells them all about his specific beliefs and asks questions about their beliefs too. He makes them make a choice between believing and not believing at one point, which is essentially choosing between two doors which leads somewhere they do not know. There's quite a lot of use of symbolism, I think, in this film, and there's a power dynamic going on between the two missionaries and himself. There's kind of a little bit of a theological battle that continues throughout the movie. A recurring theme is control. Mr. Reed tries to exert control over the two women. This comes up throughout the film, and kind of at the end he tries to basically say that religion is control, a way of controlling people. That's kind of this Mr. Reed character's take on the world. There's not a lot of music in this film, but the ones that are included are very carefully selected. So there's Creep by Radiohead, for example. I think there's some symbolic weight attached to the use of Creep. So in Creep, the lyrics are very much about self-doubt and questioning oneself, feelings of isolation, being different. And I think that is what the women are feeling when they're trapped in the room listening to this music. So it's quite clever. It works on a couple of levels, that I think. There's also some symbolism with the butterfly, which is mentioned at various points, not least at the end of the film. I won't spoil it, but there's a butterfly at the end, and if you've seen it, you'll know what I mean. But this butterfly does crop up, or the mention of a butterfly, throughout the movie. The cinematography helps to bed in that really suffocating mood that just seems to intensify throughout the movie as the situation becomes more and more intense, and it kind of goes downhill. There's a lot of use of light and shadow, clever use of light and shadow, I think. So, the characters, when they're talking, are often illuminated with a very dark background. Indeed, there's also a lot of changing of light in the movie, so that often the lights will go out, there is candles being lit and blown out, and that happens throughout the movie quite a lot. So it's constantly changing the kind of light, which is generally fairly low, but as I say, it's always changing. So as I said before, just illuminating people's faces really pulls that viewer in to kind of feel the emotions that the characters are going through, just by really sucking them into their facial expressions all the time. You get a real sense of their emotional state and kind of the demise of that state as well. Hugh Grant pulls some amazing expressions. He's so gifted. I really like Hugh Grant. Yeah, he's just so kind of animated, and he's got some really great stuff going on in this film. He really makes it for me. I like Hugh Grant. I like what he stands for as a person, the sort of things he cheerleads and he stands up for. I mean, you can still enjoy an actor's kind of work, can't you? But it's nice that I like who he is and what he stands for too. I'd actually like to see him do more movies like this. Maybe he will now. Now he's dipped his toe in the horror genre, maybe he could try a sci-fi. Actually, he's done a sci-fi, hasn't he, recently? But more of this, less of the kind of 90s floppy-haired love interest. What's interesting as well in this is there's use of the game Monopoly. Mr. Reed actually gives them something of a lecture about how Monopoly came to be and how it went through various iterations, and actually it was copied and repackaged for the masses and how it became famous. And he's kind of trying to draw some parallels between how the game Monopoly came to be and how religions have also evolved in a similar way through various iterations. That's his argument. It's interesting to watch, whether you believe it or not. And he's using these kinds of analogies and games to just try and psych out his two visitors and actually freak them out as well. And it works. I think it's a really good film. I really enjoyed it. It kind of kept me on the edge of my seat. It was kind of scary without being terrifying. It's not the kind of film that you'll watch and then not be able to sleep, for example. And it's not hideously gory, although there's some bits in it where there's a bit of blood and guts. There's a few... I mean, you can't watch a horror film these days, can you, without a bit of that? But it's not gratuitously bad like some films. It's not over the top. It's a good length for me. It's like over within, about 2 hours. And I like the beginning. I like the way the film begins with the two Mormons talking to each other. They're sat out in the sunshine. It's very light. There's quite a wide shot. You see kind of a nice scenery, some mountains, and they're happy. You know, it's kind of a nice contrast to what happens in terms of the darkness and the small spaces, the claustrophobia, and the fact that they become quite unhappy in the film. The cinematography is wide. I like the credits. They kind of slightly imaginatively go around the corners of the screen, just a bit different rather than just like fading in and out or whatever. So those opening credits are quite nice and slightly different. If you've not seen it, hopefully I haven't spoiled it too much, and you can still go and watch it and enjoy it. And if you have, I don't know whether you agree with me on any of the things I've been saying there, or maybe you disagree. Either way, just stick them in the comments. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.